Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building in the world of Windenburg, which is the world that we got from the expansion pack The Sims 4 Get Together, and I'm going to be building a big modern family home. So this house is built on a 40 by 30 lot on the island area of the world. And that little island, I don't know what it's called, I'm about to say Windenburg Island, but I don't think that's the official name for it. But the island in Windenburg, that's where I decided to build this house. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been here for a while, but I don't really seem to build here that often, if ever. I think on my channel I've probably got maybe one, but I'm going to say two to cover myself, builds in this area of the world. And it's mainly because I'm just a bit stuck on what to do for it for my save file. Now, if you've been following my channel for a little while, you know that I'm working on a save file and whatnot, and I like all of the houses in the same neighbourhoods, like say, you know, like that little starter neighbourhood in Willow Creek. I want all the houses to look like they go together in that neighbourhood, and then the same with Oasis Springs and whatnot. And so when it comes round to doing this little Windenburg Island, I ain't got a clue what direction I want to take it, because when you originally go into a brand new save file, this like island is a little bit modern, but then there is also a really big Tudor house on the big 64 by 64 lot, and I'm just a bit stuck on what to do for it. And so I just don't really seem to build here, because I often build for my save file, but this week I was in a modern mood. I just really felt like sitting down and build something quite modern. Now, I say this, once I came in and I started furnishing, I kind of went in, I don't want to say a completely different direction, but pretty much, yeah, a completely different direction. Because originally I was thinking the inside was going to be all white walls, maybe like a dark wooden floor, and then in terms of structure pieces like the kitchen and then the lounge room, all of the furniture would be black and white, and then I'll just have hints and like pops of colour here and there, you know, have like a purple rug, well, not purple, but you know, like the odd occasional colour here and there in like the soft furnishings. So I came in and I started furnishing, and that idea went straight out the window. It ended up being a modern industrial kind of style on the inside, and I really like the way it turned out. I'm really happy that I decided to go with it, because it started off with a hallway. I started furnishing the hallway and I was looking at it and I was thinking, this isn't really modern. Stick with it though, stick it out and see what happens. And I'm really happy that I did, because I'm so happy with the way this whole entire house came together, and I hope you like it as well. But getting on and talking about the inside of this house, so in total there is 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. On the upstairs level I decided to make it so there is 2 bedrooms, both of them have en suites. One of them I decorated to be for a kid, the other one just kind of like a generic parent's bedroom. I say generic, normally I'm not too fussed about parents' bedrooms. That sounds very horrible, doesn't it? But normally when it comes around to my Sims parents, I'm like, I'll chuck a bed in there, put a plant in the corner, and they'll be good. But I actually really like the way that the bedroom upstairs, like the master, came together. It's not the biggest bedroom, but it's got the best views. It is just, oh, by the way, the screenshots for this house, I've already come in and I've already playtested it. It all works, by the way, and I've already taken the screenshots, and the screenshots came out so nice, like better than what I would have thought that they would have come out like. You can see as I'm building, the light is kind of hitting the back of the lot where the swimming pool is. The front of the lot, like the front door area, really dark in build mode, but once the light hits it in like live life mode, what way do you say it? I don't know. But once the lighting hits it, it is so pretty, and I don't know how long the screenshots are going to be. If you're curious, by the way, I haven't added them in yet. Currently, just the video footage itself is like half hour long, and so I don't know how long it's going to be with screenshots, but I've taken quite a few. So it might be like a good 5-6 minutes of screenshots, but they're pretty, so I hope it's worth it. But anyway, as you can see, I'm currently just playing about with this kind of little upper deck area thing. Basically, when I was building this, by the way, I wasn't looking at a picture, but I was inspired by a picture, and I kind of took elements from the picture that I found on Pinterest. I'll find the picture and I'll pop it up on the screen now. Basically, I thought of doing this thing with, you know, like the upper deck, like I don't want to say the ceiling, but oftentimes you can put like fences in it, and you know, like so plants will come through and it's all very picturesque and whatnot. Basically, I wanted to do that, but I want to do it modern. Now, if I'm being honest, the way that I did it is quite long-winded, but basically what I did, instead of using a fence piece, I used some wall decorations that we got from Eco Lifestyle and rotated them round, because I found that if I was to use a fence piece, so there's, I think, like 4 different fences that I could have used. There's one from Base Game, there's one from Get to Work, I think there's one from like StrangerVille, I think even Get Famous as well. Like, I had a few different options of fences that I could have used. But basically, when you was to like draw a straight line and then draw the next line in kind of like the sequence of them, there would be too much of a big gap in between the fence pieces. And I wanted the ceiling to be a bit, it's a really bad describing word, but a bit gappy. But I didn't want it to be that gappy. I sound like I'm talking about a fish, but I wanted there to be like a small little tiny sections of where like the ceiling is completely like something, you basically drop a penny, it would go down to the floor, but I didn't want massive chunks of it. And so I decided just to use some wall decorations from Eco Lifestyle and rotate them. We also have a very similar looking object from Get Famous, but the thing is, with the Get Famous one, because I originally tried that one, you can't rotate it. So I'd recommend, if you want to do something very similar or like the same thing in your own personal builds, use the one from Eco Lifestyle, save yourself trying to faff about with the one from Get Famous, because for some reason that one just, it doesn't seem to rotate. I don't know why we basically got the exact same object from two different expansion packs. Like, it makes no point. Actually, also, I've just reminded myself, this is the thing, I always, and I've mentioned this before, I always save my voiceovers for the day. So if you're watching this the day that I posted this, I'm posting this today on Friday. I was doing this voiceover at, it's currently 2:30, so I was doing this voiceover earlier on. I always like to save my voiceovers for the day, because if ever there's any like gossip, I don't want to say Sims tea, but like tea, if there's like any new packs coming out or anything, I always like to mention it. Half the time I forget, because I just get so wound up and like so involved in the house that I'm building, I just completely forget to talk about it. But if you wasn't aware, earlier this week, I think it was on like Tuesday or Wednesday, we got a teaser, or not a teaser, kind of a teaser. We got a roadmap for the next 2 months, which unfortunately has no mention of an expansion pack, which I really hope we get another expansion pack soon. The last one we had was Cottage Living, and that was, honestly, it feels like a decade ago, even though it was only last summer, but it feels like so long ago. And I feel like it's been a really long time that I've sat down and I've just been genuinely excited and just like buzzing about a new pack. Don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy some of the build and buy kits that we've got, like the Industrial Loft kit, the Blooming Rooms kit. I do really like them, but there's something about that time of year when you know that a new Sims pack is coming out, or like an expansion pack, and maybe it's just me and I've mentioned this before, but like when you go on Twitter and people like Game Changers are like teasing content, and you scroll past it and you try and close your eyes because you don't want to spoil it for yourself, but then you also sneakily want to kind of open your eyes so you can kind of get excited. Like, I miss that, and I really want that back, and I really hope that they purposely missed out July on the roadmap, because there is an expansion pack possibly coming, and they don't know if they probably missed it out because they're not sure if they can still deliver it. Like, they're not sure. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but the roadmap says that we're getting a new game pack and then 2 new kits, and it seems to be a thing that the new game pack could possibly be werewolves. Now, I can't really speak on werewolves because, if I'm being honest with you, I haven't really ever played with them. I've played all of the Sims games. I mean, The Sims, it came out when I was 2, so I mean, I didn't really play that much of it. I've still got it on disc in my loft somewhere, bopping about in a box, but like, I played Sims 2, I played Sims 3, never really, I wasn't someone to play with werewolves, and I never really have been. Out of all of the occults, my go-to is spellcasters, or like wizards and witches and whatnot. So I don't know how I feel about them. Either way, I'm still excited, and to be honest, I'm probably more excited that if the new game pack has a new world, I'm more excited for the world. I'm hoping there is a new world, and I'm excited for the build and buy stuff, but I feel like that's kind of a given. But either I might give the gameplay a whirl. I say I might. I definitely will be giving the gameplay a whirl, but I'm not as excited as what I would be for, like Realm of Magic or something like that, because it's just not my personal cup of tea. But we're also getting the 2 kits. One of the kits is, I think, like Nights Out, and the other one is Nights In. So it's kind of like the complete polar opposites of one another. But I was thinking, with the Nights In one, I don't know if you played it, Sims 2, there was this stuff pack, can't remember what it was called, something like bathroom stuff or whatever. Basically, it was this stuff pack that gave us some really nice furniture for both the bedroom and the bathroom, and it also gave us some really nice pyjamas, really nice underwear. And The Sims 4, it's been out since 2014. We are still severely lacking in the sleepwear department. If you go onto sleepwear and you just filter by, without custom content, there really is next to nothing. I've got Sims like are completely different personalities from one another. One might like purple, one might like, I don't know, green or blue, and they basically wear the same thing to bed, because sleepwear in The Sims 4 is really, really limited. And so I'm really hoping that Cozy Nights In is, you know, like a create a sim kit, which I didn't think I would say, but if it's for sleepwear, I am going to say it because it is severely lacking. Or if it's not that, it's a gameplay kit kind of focusing on sleepovers for kids, but I feel like I'm kind of, that's a bit of a push, that one. I don't think that one's going to be very likely, but you know, it's always hoping. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because if you don't follow The Sims on Twitter, which if you have Twitter, 100% do it, because they tweet out so many different things and they give you so many different hints, not that often, but kind of often, and so I'd recommend it. But anyway, getting back to the video and actually talking about what I'm doing. So as you can see, I've done the majority of the landscaping for this house. Landscaping this was so difficult. I really didn't know what I was doing. Where I haven't really ever built on the Windenburg island, I wasn't too familiar with, you know, like the wild flowers and the wild trees and shrubs and whatnot. So you might notice as I'm going around and landscaping, I'm really trying to focus on what's on the edge of the lot, you know, like what's in the surrounding neighbourhoods and can I make it blend in so it looks like it fits in. I also use a lot of rocks when I came to landscaping this because this island is very rocky. Really, but I'm really great with my descriptions, aren't I? But it's a very rocky area. There's a lot of rocks in the world, and so I tried to incorporate that into landscaping as well. In terms of activities in this back garden, I'm pretty much done. I'm just playing around with some final touches in the landscaping. But in the back garden, there ends up being quite a big swimming pool, as you can see. There also ends up being a barbecue area on that little deck bit right at the back garden of the lot. It ends up having like a little campfire. Your Sims can sit there and roast marshmallows and hang out and stuff. It's honestly, it's so pretty. The screenshots of this house I'm just so happy with. But then there is also some sun lounges. One thing that I will say is the sun lounges are underneath kind of like a ceiling. When I was playtesting, my sim couldn't sunbathe, you know, they couldn't actually try and catch a tan. They can still relax there, they can still like nap there and sit there. But if you want your Sims to be able to, you know, like lay out there and try and get a bit of sun, I would probably recommend deleting the ceiling above it because it's basically undercover. And so the game doesn't recognise that there's like a glass panel and whatnot. And so that is one thing that I do want to note. But anyway, getting on and finally talking about what I'm doing right now. It's kind of like a main feature of the build, and I purposely left it right until I was just about to go in and start furnishing it, just because basically you can see that I'm playing around with the tool mod and I'm playing around with like rotating things and scaling things up and moving things about with the gravity pull function. Basically, when you do that, sometimes if you try and move the house, the whole entire lot, like back a tile or front, you know, like if you try and move a lot, sometimes, and I say sometimes because it's not all the times, but sometimes there is a possibility that all the different things that you use the tool mod to rotate and put in a certain placement can get stuck of where you originally placed them. And basically, long story short, I didn't want to play about with making this triangular window and then end up having to move the lot back a tile or front a tile for like landscaping or something. And so I decided that I was gonna do the whole exterior pretty much, you know, do the landscape and do the terrain paint, and then once I was happy with the exact placement of it, then I'd come in and play around with it. Now what I'm basically doing, I'm going to try and explain this really clearly, and I'm really sorry if I don't explain it clear enough. If you've got any questions, just ask me in the comments and I'll answer you. But basically what you do is, to get a triangle window, you put some windows in the top roof section and then you elevate them down so that at no point there is a windows clipping through to the roof. And then once they're all elevated and they're all like in line with the roof, you then go down onto the bottom floor or like the lower level, and then you merge in some windows so it now looks like one big window. And then with that, you use these little slabs that we've got from Spa Day, and basically you rotate them with the tool mod. I rotated them 90 degrees so they were kind of like facing one way, and then rotated them I think like 30 degrees so then they were at an angle. And I played about with it a little bit to get the angle correct, because obviously I was trying to match it with the angle that the roof was at, and then basically just move objects them in. It's actually quite simple, like the concept of it, but honestly it can be really tricky. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing it, so you would have seen I did the right hand side and then I kind of cut the footage and then merged in the next footage. That's basically because I don't know if it's just the way that I've got the tool mod set up, but when I try and rotate things, they'll rotate like to the right. So instead of being able to rotate things, you know, -30 and it will go to the left, for some reason for me it never seems to work. And so if I want to rotate something to the left, I've got to take it away from 360, which in all fairness, it doesn't sound like it's difficult, but basically I was rotating it so many tiny times to get it completely accurate, to be completely symmetrical with the original roof trim, that I had to pause the footage, come back, watch my own footage back, and I got some sticky notes and basically wrote down the exact rotations that I did, and then it took it away from 360, and then put the sticky notes on my monitor, carried on recording, and then that way I knew exactly what to do, and then that way the roof was basically completely symmetrical. It's quite simple, like I said, but honestly it can be a little bit fiddly. But anyway, besides the point, as you can see, I've now moved on into the inside of this house, and I've already done a little hallway area, and now I've started doing the dining room. Now the industrial kind of look, the industrial style came in basically when I was doing the hallway. I placed down that side table, you can just about see it in the corner. It's from Cats and Dogs. Now maybe it's just me, but I don't think that there's that many modern side tables that we have into the game, and so I place it down. It's kind of like one of my go-to ones. I place it down, put it into the brown swatch. I thought, looks a bit modern, but it's alright. Then I came in and started doing the dining room. Now maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just completely missing it. Somehow we do not have a 3-tile completely solid black table. And I'm not joking, maybe I'm just completely missing it. I spent so long scrolling through the dining room table section, you know, trying to find all these different black tables, and all of them are just not it. And when I say completely black, I'm talking no like wood, no glass in the middle, completely basic IKEA kind of furniture. 3-tile completely black table, we don't have one. We have one for a 2-tile, and I think we might have one for a 1-tile, but in terms of a really big long black table, we don't have one. And honestly, that has really surprised me, and I didn't notice until I did this build. I feel like, do you remember when we had the white shelf update? If you haven't been playing The Sims 4 for that long, or maybe like you're just not someone that's, you know, very active in terms of, you know, like new stuff coming to the game, basically for a really long time we didn't have a white shelf. I'm talking completely plain white shelf. We didn't have one for a really long time, and I remember when we finally got one in an update, they just updated one of the existing ones, everyone just lost it because it was such an exciting thing. And if you actually sit down and you actually deep it, it's literally a white shelf, and it's literally just a plain black table. But how The Sims 4 is almost a building simulator at this point. We don't have a 3-tile black table. Like, how has that even happened? But yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because I didn't know that was a thing until I did this build. But as you can see, the dining room came together quite naturally. It came together quite quickly as well. There ends up being a fireplace in the corner. Now, I mainly placed it there because on the exterior there is a chimney, and if there's ever a chimney on the exterior, I like to have it so on the inside there's always going to be a fireplace. That way when you take the screenshots it's all pretty and there's like all smoke coming from the chimney and whatnot. I will mention though, when I move on to the upstairs and I do the master bedroom, because the master bedroom is directly above that area, I decided to make the chimney into a walk-in wardrobe, which might bug some people, and often I find that I try not to do that, but the room is quite small and there wasn't really appropriate place. I'd rather have a walk-in wardrobe than have a fireplace and a really small chest of drawers, and so hopefully it doesn't bother you that much. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the lounge room. It's in here. Honestly, I didn't know how big I made this. Basically, I did the floor plan and then I came in and I started doing like the wallpaper and the flooring and stuff, and oftentimes when I go around and I do all of that stuff off camera, I will place down like a sofa into the lounge room, a bed into a bedroom, a toilet into the bathroom, so on and so forth, so I can kind of remind myself, okay, that room is that room and this room is this room. Basically, I came around and I did the lounge room, I placed down a sofa, then I realised how big I made it. It's massive. It is so big. I think it's like 7 tiles by 6 tiles or something, and there is no way that I could have been able to decorate it how I did without the sofas from the Dream Home Decorator game pack. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done if we didn't have them sectional sofas, because you can see how big the sofa is. It basically wraps around like half of the room. It would have looked so weird if we didn't have that game pack, but fortunately I don't have to think about it because we have got that game pack, and it was an absolute lifesaver when it came to decorating this room. But in this room as well, I decided to go for the industrial loft kit rug. Now, I've said this so many times before, but this rug is one of my absolute favourites that we have in the game. It is so nice and I always seem to use it in this one same swatch. Honestly, I'm a bit obsessed with it. It just looks so warm, and it also looks really comfortable. I don't know if it's just me, but it just looks like one of them rugs that you put into a family home, and it's just, I love it. And so I decided to used this rug a bunch of times, but I used it twice in this swatch. I used it in this swatch down here in this room, and then also once upstairs in the hallway. But now, as you can see, I'm just going around and just finishing off this lounge space. I basically wanted to add some kind of like cushions and some more detail to the sofa, because where it was so big, it just looked a bit cold, like it didn't really look inviting or anything. And I love sofas that have cushions and blankets and throws in them, because they feel a little bit more homey. And so, as you can't really place down pillows into the game because we don't have any in clutter, I decided basically just to use towels. I mean, especially since we had I think it was a spa day refresh, we've got a load of new updates to the towel colours and the bathrobe colours. Since the update, to be honest, it's pretty much the exact same as a cushion. They do look a little bit off, I'm not gonna lie. They're not as detailed as what I would like cushions to be if we ever get them in the game. But you know what? For the time being, they do all right. And so I decided to merge them into the sofa. And I've already mentioned this, but I want to mention it again. The house has been play tested. It works. The only one thing I do want to mention is, you know, on this bit of sofa that kind of your Sims can lounge out on, almost like a sunbed, or basically I placed down a cushion into the corner of that, but then when my Sim was sitting there and they were lounging, it was kind of like clipping into their arm and it was bugging me, and so I decided to delete it. But for the most part, it all works. I just decided to delete that one towel just because I didn't like the kind of like the visual glitch, if you want to put it that way. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on and I've started furnishing the kitchen. This kitchen was really surprisingly small. It's funny because the lounge room ends up being massive and then the kitchen ends up being not tiny, but for me anyway, I like to do more bigger kitchens, and so for me this is a really small kitchen. But it was just the way the floor plan panned out, and I did try and play around with it off camera. You know, I tried to see what room would be best fitting for the kitchen. I debated what ends up being the guest bedroom to be the kitchen. I then also debated at one point to make the big old sofa room into the kitchen, but then I thought probably a bit too much. And the way that the windows are as well on the exterior, I didn't want any of the counters to go over the window, because then if you was to go outside and then look in, you would then be able to see the back of the counters, and I don't like that. It was just, long story short, it was a bit of a hickledy-pickledy one, but in the end, it ends up being a really sweet, little, small, industrial kitchen. It's got everything that your Sims needs, and it's also got a coffee machine, so there's kind of like an extra added bonus. I will say though, if you want to play in this house and you maybe want a bigger kitchen or at least more counter space, I placed down a high table with some bar stools. Now, I mainly placed it down because I wanted there to be a little bit of symmetry in the furniture. And what I mean by that is, in the lounge room, I placed down a coffee table that's from the Industrial Loft kit. And it's got this certain type of swatch of the wood, and the table that I placed down into the kitchen, it's from the same kit, so it's got the same wood swatch, and so I placed it down just so there was a little bit of symmetry between the rooms. I was thinking that if you wanted a bigger space for, you know, if you wanted to cook together as a family or something, maybe delete that table and replace it with, you know, them counters that you can have bar stools underneath, because your Sims can still sit at it and then they can also prepare food, so it's kind of like best of both worlds. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the home office. Now, I feel like I say this quite often, but when it comes to offices, I get really stuck on what's put in them, because especially ones of this size and this shape, because what do you actually have in an office? At the end of the day, you have a computer desk, you might have a bookcase and probably a plant, but then, and maybe some filing cabinets, but like, what do you actually put in it to make it look interesting at least? And so I always get really stuck when it comes around to doing them. In here, I was thinking that maybe we've got a Sim that really likes playing chess, and so there's a chess table in here. There's also the computer desk, and you know, the little monitor on it. There is also a cat tree that ends up being in the corner. Basically, there was this awkward space and I didn't know what to do with it. Tried to put a plant down, plant weren't working. Tried to put an armchair down, and I felt like it just looked a bit basic. And so then I thought, do you know what? Maybe this household's just got a cat, and the cat has got a really good view when they go for a nap. And so the cat tree is basically placed in front of a window, and the cat can look out onto the seaside if it wants to. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the guest bedroom. So in here, I was really stuck on what to do, because basically I really like the look of not having any curtains or any blinds on the windows. It's just something about it that makes it feel, maybe it's not, but in my mind it makes me feel a little bit more modern. You'll notice in the lounge room there's no curtains, in the kitchen there's no curtains. I haven't been doing it. But then when it came round to actually thinking about it realistically, if you've got a guest bedroom and you're inviting someone to come round your house and stay for the night, if they're going to want to have curtains, because especially this guest bedroom, wherever it's on the downstairs level, like the lower level of the house, your Sims can literally be in the pool and then watch into the bedroom, like they can see directly in. So I was thinking, do you know what, it's probably best if I do add some curtains. If you want to delete the curtains, feel free to. It will kind of match the rest of the downstairs level. I wouldn't have added any if it was, you know, like an office or anything, but just for the fact that it is a guest bedroom, and I was thinking if grandma's coming to stay for the weekend, she's not going to want to be able to see whoever's swimming in the swimming pool, feel free to delete them. But in this room, there ends up being the 4-poster bed, which is from a City Living. There ends up being the industrial loft kit rug, but I just used it in a black swatch. There is also an art easel. There's also like a wardrobe. In terms of decoration and clutter, not even just in that room, but in the house in general, I try to keep it to a minimum. There's just something about modern builds where I feel like you can't have too much laying about. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I feel like with modern houses, everything's got a place, everything's organised. No one's going to be, you know, like leaving all their bits and bobs out on show. They're just gonna, everything's that sounds really bad. I didn't mean it like that. I meant like all of their stuff is what I basically meant. Either way, I just feel like with modern builds, you normally need to do them to be quite clutter free. I wanted to have a little bit of clutter, but not too much. I did try and keep it like to a minimum. I did try and hold back, but anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs portion, and I've started off by furnishing one of the bathrooms. So like I've mentioned, there is a total of 3 bathrooms in this house. This happens to be at the bathroom for the master bedroom. This is kind of like the ensuite. In here there ends up being quite a big open like walk-in shower. I like doing these. I've been doing these quite a lot recently, and I don't know, they're just a little bit more interesting. I'm not a massive fan of any of the showers that we already have in the game, because I feel like some of the showers that we've got are either really plain and basic or really out there. And when I say really out there, I'm talking about, you know, the ones that we got from Get Famous. They're a little bit of a particular taste, and so quite often if I've got space for it and I've got the opportunity to, I'll try and make like a custom built-in. I basically just put the room on a slight platform so your Sims will step up and then place down one of them individual shower pieces. The one that I've used is from, I think, Discover University. There's also like some ivy hanging on the wall, and then in there as well there's quite a nice big sink area, a toilet. There's no bathtub in this bathroom, but, or I say in this bathroom, I'm currently doing the bedroom, but there is a bathtub in the downstairs bathroom. But as you can see, I just finished up the master bedroom of the house. Now, it is the smaller bedroom, but the thing is, I didn't want the kids' room, which I've now moved on to, I didn't want that to have the bigger bathroom out of the two. I felt like that really didn't make any sense. And so I thought, you know what, in terms of parents, their bedrooms don't need that much at the end of the day. Like, they just need the bare basics. And so I decided to make it so they had the smaller bedroom, but I really like the way I decorated it. I used the industrial loft kit bed. I also use a mixture of different rugs that I try to layer them. There's also like a walk-in wardrobe in there, and it's got some really nice views. But to be honest, I've been saying that throughout the whole entire video because the whole house has really good views. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the last room, or kind of like the last bedroom, and that is the kids' room. So in here, I decided to go for a grey, white and green theme. So in here, I ended up using quite a lot of Dream Home Decorator, which I feel like for a modern build, that's not really much of a surprise. So the chest of drawers that I'm currently cluttering up, that's from Dream Home Decorator, as well as the bed and then the bedside table. The bedside table, I don't want to say I custom made it, but I basically used loads of these little cubes that we got from that game pack, merged them together and then put loads of different things inside of them. So like one thing that I put inside of them was this little table. We got it from the Nifty knitting stuff pack. It looks like it should be something that your Sims can sit on. Like, it looks like a sofa or like a little armchair, and it's not. For some reason they decided to make it into a side table, but I like sized that down and put it in there, as well as some like toy boxes. And, you know, like, I wanted this bedroom to feel like a kid's bedroom, but also on the same token, I didn't want it to be too playful. You know, with kids' bedrooms, you can either go, normally it's very easy to go very playful, do loads of bright colours, because a lot of the furniture that we have are very like vibrant swatches, but I didn't want the room to kind of stick out like a sore thumb in this house. I wanted it to kind of flow with the rest of it, and so I tried to keep it muted in terms of colour scheme. But overall, it ends up being quite a nice little kids' room, you know. It's got a doll's house in there, it's got a little drawing table, it's also got a teddy bear, and it's got all the stuff that, you know, keep your kids entertained. But anyway, as you can see, I've now moved on into the last area of this house, which is the upstairs kind of like hallway area. If I'm being honest, it's pretty much a really fancy sitting area because there's not too much that your Sims can do up here. Of course, you could add things to this if you want to, but in the end it ends up being somewhere where your Sims can sit in the armchair, have a chit chat, maybe go on a tablet if they've got one, and pretty much just look out onto the views because this is where the big triangular windows are. But yeah, I'm just going to go around this room and finish it off, and that is basically it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. So as always, you can download this build via the gallery. My origin ID is JessicapieYT, or you can just search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys!